Gossip Girl here, your one and only source into the scandalous lives of Manhattan's elite. Today I have an extra special feature on the Upper East Side's favorite bad boy.
And who am I? That's not a secret I'll never tell. You know you love me. XOXO. Gossip Girl.
Hey there, Upper East Siders. Today we're going to take a look inside the life of our very own Chuck Bass. Everyone knows he's Manhattan's richest and dirtiest teen, but no one knows what's underneath the surface of the partying and prostitutes. Let's find out what it's really like growing up alone and filthy rich in New York City.
I'm Chuck Bass.
Since we all know that family comes first, where better to start than Chuck's family? Of course, Mommy Bass isn't in the picture, and hasn't been for a while since she supposedly died giving birth to Chuck. We did later find out that she is indeed alive, but betrays Chuck to help his Uncle Jack. Chuck lost a mother he never thought he had again.
I called you because this afternoon I didn't have the courage to tell you that I signed the hotel over to Jack. Seeing you made me realize what I've done, and so then I told him he had to make a choice. Me or the hotel.
And what did my uncle say?
My flight to Zurich leaves at 10.
As for Bart Bass, Chuck's father, and one of New York's biggest businessmen and billionaire, he only has one facial expression, and it's scary. He's never been present in Chuck's life, and doesn't seem to care for him at all. Chuck wants nothing more than to make his father proud, but nothing he does ever seems to be enough to prove to Bart that he is no longer a child.
Yeah?
Good to hear your voice too, Dad.
What is it, Chuck?
I remembered you were flying in tonight. I wondered if we could have a drink.
Why? What kind of trouble are you in?
Is it unimaginable for a son to just want to sit and talk with his father?
Chuck, I'm tired, I'm jet-lagged, and I have to take this call.
Okay. Well, maybe later.
Then there's Chuck's Uncle Jack, the one who goes from trying to ruin his life to being one of the only people who was there for him. It started off bad when Jack tried everything to gain ownership of Bass Industries from Chuck. He lied, cheated, manipulated, and then one day became nice. We'll have to wait and see if he's actually changed. This just in, Chuck Bass was spotted at the Palace Hotel, day drinking alone. Underage drinking is a usual for Chuck, but alone, in public? Now that means he's upset. One can assume that things between him and Blair aren't going too well right now. He's very good at drinking away his problems. And now we wait. If he leaves with a few ladies in his arms, then we know things are really rough.
Hello, Chuck. I thought I'd find you here.
Sure enough, here he is in his own burlesque club being confronted by Blair. Another bonus of being Chuck Bass, there's nothing money can't buy.
You want to get kicked out?
And by the looks of it, Chuck is also aware of the perks his status brings. I'm sure he's quite smart, but he's never needed to try. He's done the bare minimum in school, cheating on tests, breaking rules, getting in trouble, because when you're that rich, who needs an Ivy education?
Just because you're dressed poorly doesn't mean you're not Chuck Bass.
Why would I want to be him?
There are many good things about being Chuck Bass, but there are bad things as well. Chuck knows this and has tried to escape his lavish life multiple times. He takes his jet and flies off to a place where no one knows his name and lives a lie until someone, usually Blair, comes to remind him why he has to come home. There have been many points in Chuck's life where he's felt completely alone. When his father died in a car accident, Chuck felt as though he had lost everything. His uncle had stolen the company he had inherited, he had pushed away Blair and his friends, and he thought that no one cared about him. He drank uncontrollably and was contemplating suicide.
Chuck, your father wouldn't have wanted this.
Your old dad. Fortunately, all I know is what he didn't want. Which is me. I'm Chuck Bass! No one cares.
I'm not in the mood, Chuck. It's pretty much the worst birthday ever.
Maybe it can be salvaged.
Is that our sex tape?
Spotted. Chuck and Blair making up after a fight. It's never boring between these two, but that's the special thing about them. It was Blair who saved him at each and every turn, so I guess now we should talk about their relationship. I feel like we could tell right from the beginning that these two were meant for each other. It all started at Blair's 17th birthday party. Chuck realized he had feelings for her, something he had never experienced before.
Please, you forget who you're talking to.
So do you. Do you like me?
Define like.
Believe this.
How do you think I feel? I haven't slept. I feel sick, like there's something in my stomach.
Please don't leave with him.
Why?
It took him so long to admit that he loved her because he didn't want to show any vulnerability. But after he did, he realized that he couldn't leave her behind because he cared about her way too much. She was the one person who understood him perfectly. She made him realize that he's loved by someone.
Blair. Cornelia Waldorf. Will you marry me?
Yes, I will.
And that concludes my special feature on Chuck Bass. It's clear that there's more than meets the eye about him. Stay tuned for next week's episode on Serena Vanderwoodson. You know you love me. XOXO, Gossip Girl.